Nestled in the Tyrolean Alps of Austria lies one of the most legendary ski resorts in Europe, Kitzbühel. It's home to the infamous Streif downhill race and offers a massive interconnected ski area. It's a must-visit destination for any serious skier, and it also wins countless awards. My day at Kitzbühel starts with what should have been a simple 1-hour drive from Sturm in the Zillertal valley. What I didn't account for was the Saturday morning traffic that pours in and out of the valley. That 1-hour journey stretched into nearly 2.5 hours before I finally arrived in Kirchberg and then made my way over to Kitzbühel. My first stop was the tourism office, where they had kindly arranged a lift ticket for me. With 2 full days to explore this massive resort, I was eager to get started, though it was already approaching 11 AM by the time I had my pass in my hand. Parking proved to be the next challenge. All of the main bases around Kitzbühel had already filled up with skiers. I eventually found a spot near the Ganz lift, which allowed me to ride up and then connect over to the Hahnenkammbahn gondola. The iconic lift carries riders from the centre of Kitzbühel up to the Hahnenkammbahn peak, offering an incredible view of the town and the surrounding mountains as you climb. One cool feature is that each gondola cabin is named after the winners of the race for which the mountain is most famous for. With a late start, I knew I wasn't going to be able to cover the entire resort in one day, nor do I think you could ever cover this resort in one day. Kitzbühel is simply just massive. One of those places where you'll need multiple days to truly appreciate everything it has to offer. So I focused on exploring the main areas systematically. From the summit, I headed down towards a valley that houses the C1 and the B5 lifts. I enjoyed several laps here, discovering a freeride section called the number 90, just off to the side. Though most of the powder had been completely tracked out. However, there was still enough fresh snow from the previous days to make for some enjoyable turns in this area. Yeah. After a few laps off the C1 lift and the number 90 freeride terrain, we headed over and jumped on the B5 lift. This takes you back to the main summit of the Hahnenkammbahn and serves as the main intersection between Kitzbühel and Kirchberg. From there, we descended along the number 18 piste, and to our surprise, as we turned the corner, we discovered something truly amazing, a free airbag jump setup. This is the one thing I love about European resorts. Features like this are often available at no extra charge. Though the jump looked intimidating, we couldn't resist giving it a try. We hopped on the small lift that services the airbag and prepared for takeoff. There's something incredibly liberating about launching yourself off a jump when you know there is virtually no consequence for failure. Though it's still a substantial jump that commands respect. I only mustered up the courage for one attempt. It was exhilarating but terrifying at the same time. Plus, I had this whole resort that I wanted to explore. I couldn't spend all my time jumping on this jump. I imagine though that after a few practice runs, your confidence would build quite quickly. Even with just one jump under my belt, it was an unforgettable experience. From the Airbag, we headed over to the C2 lift and began making our way towards the far back corners of this main part of the resort. Afternoon. We, again, 1 o'clock by the time I start this video, even though I'm going to start it earlier. But as you can see behind me, I'm at KITZSKI in Kitzbühel. We drove over here today from Zillertal Valley, and we're here for the next 2 days. Got our lift tickets thanks to the tourism at Kitzbühel, and we've only just started exploring this resort, but it's a bluebird day. It looks amazing. There's plenty of fresh snow, so let's just keep going. By midday, I decided to explore the Pengelstein area. Here, I found the D5 lift, short but luxurious, with its 8 seats that are all heated. The terrain beneath is just marked as blue, which again in Europe is beginner. However, it offered plenty of fun little gullies and natural half pipes to play in as you make your way down. Where? Yes. No, we'll go down through the gully. My adventure continued as I made my way over to the area underneath the D6 lift, which sits deep in the back of the resort. Getting there was a tad complicated. We had to hike up to the top of the D7 lift and then ride down. This is where things got interesting. We somehow veered off course and found ourselves unexpectedly deep snow, and then, more alarmingly, in the middle of the forest. We could hear the nearby number 32 runs, but couldn't seem to find our way to it. What followed was an hour-long adventure through the trees, hiking through the snow, but navigating via instinct. Despite the challenges, there was something magical about being lost in the Austrian Alps on a sunny day, knowing that eventually all paths lead downhill to civilization. When we finally emerged from the forest, we were greeted by the welcoming sight of the lift. By 3:30 p.m, I had realised we had a significant journey ahead as we tried to return to where we parked over in Kitzbühel. We took the number 29 piste, which rode us all the way down to the bottom of the D4, and then caught a short quad chair which connected us up to the top where we could jump on the number 16. This would eventually bring us to a basin with the C2 and the B4 lifts. The crowds were building as everyone began to end their day's journey and head back to their respective bases. We joined the flow, taking the B4 lift up and preparing for a top-to-bottom run that would include parts of the legendary Streif course, known as the most challenging downhill in the World Cup circuit. To navigate this, we rode from the top of the B4 and B5 lifts, connected down to piece number 36, which then eventually led us to piece number 21. Here, you have a choice. Take the actual racetrack, which is a freeride route, or opt for an intermediate groom track. Chose the latter, winding our way down through the front side of Kitzbühel until we finally reached the parking spot around 4:30 in the afternoon. After parting way with my friends, I drove the short 15-minute journey over to Kirchberg, where I'd booked my accommodation for the night. Kirchberg and Kitzbühel are like sister towns, connected by the mountain between them and the lifts. My hotel turned out to be one of the most charming places I stayed during my entire Austrian trip. After checking in and freshening up, I treated myself to a drink at the bar. Well, I should say I had a voucher, but I also had a glass of wine myself. Wrapped up my first ski day at Kitzbühel, and so this is the hotel I'm staying at. It's the Hotel Metzgewirth. I just had a drink at the bar, and now I'm going to get out and explore Kirchberg, which is where I'm staying. It is just across the other side of Kitzbühel from the mountain, but it is connected by the ski resort. And I'm going to go find some dinner because I'm starving. This was before venturing out to explore Kirchberg. The evening was spent wandering the streets of this quintessential mountain town, finding a cozy spot for a pizza, and simply soaking in the atmosphere of being in the Austrian Alps. As I returned to my hotel for a well-earned rest, I was already looking forward to my next day's adventure. My plan was to get back on my skis and then get out and explore the other parts of the resort. The Jochberg and Restaurhochie area, which are all accessible via the spectacular 3S gondola that spans the valley, hovering a good 400 to 500 metres above the valley floor. This engineering marvel was the first of its kind in Austria, and the crossing would be experience in itself. But that would be tomorrow's adventure. Tonight was to finish what had started, rest up, reflect on this incredible day, and continue to appreciate the charm of Kirchberg after an exhilarating day on the slopes at one of Austria's most iconic ski destinations. Kitzbühel might be known for its challenging race heritage, but what I discovered was a resort of incredible variety, with terrain that suits every level of skier and views that remind you why the Austrian Alps hold such a special place in skiing history. With just one day under my belt and so much more to explore, I could already tell why Kitzbühel wins so many awards and deserves its legendary status among European ski resorts.